I felt surprised in both matches that he's won. Honestly, I mean, as you mentioned, 8th seed, playing against Lands, and I feel like Lands is just more of a streamlined version of a deck than what he's doing. And then Storm, he truthfully feels like he's giving away a game, and then has to try to get the other two at sideboard. But hey, he was able to do it in that last match. And we're going to see if he can do it here again, because he's going to be on the draw again as Scherer's going to take a mulligan.
With several mulligans involved, too. I mean, Keating won both of those post-board games with a lot of mulligans involved.
Yep. So it has been an impressive one, and now it's time for someone else to take a mulligan, as now Caleb is going to be going down to at least 6 cards. We'll see how much further he's going to go. Joe Lissette, a teammate here of Caleb, both members of Nerd Rage Gaming.
Was on the rail last time. I think that was more about the competition for the Players' Championship as it pertains to himself and Ross Merriam. This time, just a teammate.
We'll see if Caleb can find 6 cards that he's happy with. Brainstorm among them. He will keep. It's time for Caleb to scry. Again, both players have access to each other's deck list, so Caleb knows exactly what Keating is working with in game 1, and it's mostly Chalice of the Void. Caleb going to keep that card on top. Polluted Delta will allow him to search, and our finals are underway here from New Jersey. It's a basic island. Now here's a preordain. Underground C, Cabal Ritual. Ritual going to stay on top, C going to go to the bottom. Scherer will pass the turn back over to Keating. We'll see if Keating has that turn 1 Chalice of the Void draw. It's going to be for 0.
And we saw him do this as well against Ross when he was on the draw, was willing to put Chalice on 0. It is not as good as Chalice on 1, but it does prevent Keating from getting killed on turn 2 a lot more frequently. It's still some disruption.
Here's a Brainstorm from Caleb. He'll draw 3. 1 is a Lion's Eye Diamond. 2 is a Brainstorm. 3 is a Gataxian Probe. I think we're going to see LED work its way back on top of the deck.
So he can set the 2 cards down. And with Gataxian Probe in hand, if he wants to keep all but Lion's Eye Diamond, he can.
Yep.
If he wants to shuffle away Lion's Eye Diamond plus something else, he can also do that.
Time for Scherer to sacrifice Polluted Delta. Now, we saw Merriam in the last match actively search up basics, not want to get hit by Wasteland. We might see Caleb do that, though. He's going to go with an Underground Sea.
Well, he wants to cast a cantrip this turn. And he also wants to be able to kickstart the rituals the following turn. So he doesn't really have a choice here but to get Underground Sea.
There's Probe. We'll get an idea of what Keating is working with now. There's another Chalice. Dark Confidant, Punishing Fire. Maze of Ith, Verdant Catacombs. Windswept Heath. Those are the 6. So you can see why he kept the hand. Chalice on 0, Chalice on 1. Very good against Storm.
Plus a Dark Confidant to boot.
Yep. There are some misses there in Maze of Ith and Punishing Fire, but those cards get sideboarded out.
Yep.
To bring in some of those hate cards that we saw in the last match against Ross Merriam. What this means to me, if you're Caleb, you want to get a move on, at least with those 1-mana spells. So I think we might see a Brainstorm here. It could be a Ponder. Looks like it will be Brainstorm. 3 cards coming for Caleb. 1 is Ponder. 2 is Cabal Therapy. 3 is Underground Sea. Excuse me, Volcanic Sea. Volcanic Island, pardon me. 1-mana spell's predictably going to go back. And now they're going to be shut out. There's Verdant Catacombs. See what land Keating wants to search up here with his fetch. He's going to go with the scrub land. And now I think we'll see that Chalice for 1. Seems like a lot better play than Dark Confidant.
Yeah, I mean, if you play Dark Confidant, good chance you die. If you play Chalice, very good chance you don't die. So I like this.
Expert analysis.
There
As
you go.
usual.
There you go.
Here's a Cabal Therapy. All right, countered.
I think at this point, Caleb just needs to get some of the 1 casting cost cards out of his hand to set up an empty-handed Infernal Tutor next turn.
That's what appears to be the case.
And assuming he draws, well, next turn, I suppose if he draws Cabal Ritual, anything castable, even if it gets countered by the Chalice, still lets him do it. At that point, he has to go off with Ad Nauseam, but not being able to cast 0s or 1s. Challenging, not impossible.
Not impossible.
But very hard.
That locks out a lot of stuff. Badlands via Verdant Catacombs here for Keating after pushing across the damage there with the Dryad Arbor. I think we'll see Dark Confidant here in a second. I will say this, if Scherer can't win game 1, this is not good.
Yep, I mean, he's got to be able to win 2 of the post-board games being on the draw.
Scherer
it's just going to be tough.
He'll sacrifice that Bloodstained Mire, get a basic swamp out of his deck.
Win 2 post-board games on the draw for 1 of them. Seems very challenging based on what we've seen Keating do.
Lion's Eye Diamond.
So it's something you can put on the table.
That's free.
And if Keating does not remember the Chalice trigger here, that is game.
Yep.
Okay. So now Scherer's got to do it the hard way.
He's just going to pass the turn back here. Abrupt Decay. Doesn't matter too much. Curious to see which way Scherer's going to try to go off here. Attack for 3. Scherer down to 11. There's a Bayou, pass the turn back.
It's possible that Scherer needs to keep the Infernal Tutor his Cabal Ritual in hand. So he needs to draw another Cabal Ritual or another Infernal Tutor, so he can Infernal Tutor for another Cabal Ritual to give himself enough mana to do everything he needs to do. Because he doesn't have a whole lot of rituals he can do anything with at this point. They're all locked out by the Chalices.
He's not being afforded a lot of time right now either. Punishing Fire going to go upstairs. Now the Reliquary was the draw. But Keating is working his own life total down here a little bit, so we might get to the point here where Caleb thinks, well, my Tendrils doesn't have to be for all that much.
Yes.
Here come the Knuckleheads. Scherer going to fall down to 6.
It's the same thing we've seen before with Dark Confidant, where the Storm player may need to let this kind of just be in play, dealing some damage, because it's hard to build up the Tendrils to be lethal au naturel. You got to get a little help.
Yep. There's Knight. Scherer will draw a Duress, and he'll just concede the game.
I don't think he has a path towards anything.
Fair enough.
He can play a land, play his low spell, that gets countered. Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor for Ad Nauseam at 6, not able to cast anything in his deck, or Tendrils for short of lethal. I suppose you can Tendrils for some amount and just hope that Dark Confidant runs the game out.
Yeah, that's what I kind of want to do there. Is I just want to cast Tendrils for X. I think X being I think it's 5 copies or 5 total, so 10. He goes down to 3, and maybe you get lucky. Maybe. I think it's pretty unlikely, but I mean, it feels like me better than nothing.
I don't know if he has enough mana to do everything is the problem.
4 lands, graveyard stock loaded. So you play Ritual, that'll give 5. So you have access to 7.
And so Infernal Tutor for Tendrils is castable.
So that's 6, and then Duress is castable as well.
Yep.
So that'll give you I think 4 spells. Lotus Petal's the 5th one?
Yep.
It's not a great shot.
Right.
It's not a great shot. Either way, Tom Keating going to win game number 1 here over Caleb Scherer, punishing Abzan up a game here over Storm, which means we'll take a look at our sideboards here very quickly, and this is where things get real tough for Caleb, even though he is on the play. He'll get access to 4 Abrupt Decays, 2 Empty the Warrens, 2 Xantid Swarms, 2 Chain of Vapors, 2 Disfigures, a Cabal Therapy, a Rebuild, and a Tropical Island.
4 Abrupt Decays, 2 Chain of Vapor, and 2 Disfigure are all solid cards to bring in. I am concerned about bringing in 8 cards and diluting your deck pretty substantially. But the Disfigures are good against the Hate Bears. The Chain of Vapor is good against some of the Hate Bears and can be good against Chalice, depending on where it's set. 4 Abrupt Decay is good against all this stuff. So, again, I'm apprehensive about the full 8 coming in, but I would imagine at least 6 of those cards will be coming in.
For Keating, we have seen this song and dance before. 3 Ley Line of the Voyage, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Thaya Garden of Thraben. Bunch of 1-ups here in Containment Priest, Aethersworn Canonist, Reclamation Sage, Golgari Charm, Toxic Deluge, Engineered Plague, Garruk Relentless, Maelstrom Pulse.
We've seen this gang before here. The Ley Lines, the Thalias, the Aethersworn Canonist, the Thoughtseizes, I would assume. I don't know if we saw them in the games against Ross, but I have to imagine those are coming in as well. Taking out some of the slow cards, taking out the creature removal. It's a lot of good stuff going on here for Keating post board.
It was effective
Yes.
previously, and it'll likely be effective again. And with Keating up a game, he's got to be feeling pretty good, because stealing game 1 from Storm is a pretty big deal for him, but the Chalices did show up. So, we will be watching game number 2 here in just a moment, but in the meantime, we're going to talk about that Season 4 schedule, which is not a very long one anymore. We're in New Jersey here, 1 game away from crowning Tom Keating the champion, or it could be Caleb Scherer if he's able to make a comeback here. Next weekend, we're in Denver, and then we're going to finish things up with just a couple more events.
Yeah, we got the Invitational in Las Vegas, centered in Modern as the Invitational formats with a 2-day, $20,000 standard Open Series event. That's December 11th through the 13th. And a week after that, Players Championship in Roanoke, Virginia at the Star City Games headquarters, December 19th and 20th to close out the year.
Of course, for just Denver, we typically say for all events in the Open Series, but Denver is our last standalone Open Series event where you can get the Hop and Rabbit Master playmat. We'll have a new playmat for you, Season 1 of the SCG Tour starting in 2016. But in Denver, last chance to get this one. Pretty simple to do. You sign up, you get it.
And you get it for free when you register, not limited to the first number of people who show up for the event. We don't mail it to you after the fact. It's ready to go, on site. All you got to do, attend the 2-day, $20,000 Open Series event in Denver this coming weekend.
Denver next weekend. This weekend, however, we're in New Jersey. Last match here before we do crown a champion. Tom Keating currently up a game against Caleb Scherer, punishing Abzan, a breakout deck this weekend, that's for sure. Going up against Storm yet again, and it's felt like for Keating, both with seeding and matchups, that he's been behind, but he has found ways to claw into this thing.
I think the win over Chris Anderson's probably the biggest upset of the bunch.
Yeah.
When you just look at the sideboard that Keating has here and what he's been doing to Storm, I mean, the games against Ross were kind of laughers with Keating taking quite a few mulligans. And that cannot be good news for Scherer, who's already down a game. You got to bank on getting game 1 in this matchup.
I think it's pretty important to do so.
And yeah, Ross was just gunned down in a hail of Hate Bears, Ley Lines, Chalices. Wasteland came into play. I mean, it was ugly top to bottom.
The fact that he almost found a way through in that game 3.
Had a shot.
Yeah.
Had a shot of getting out from under all of it, but fell a bit short.
Both players going to lay out their openers here. Scherer going to be on the play. We'll see if he finds a 7-card hand that he likes. There'll be a Taxian Probe here. Unsurprisingly, you're going to find some hate in Tom Keating's hand. Thalia, Chalice, Dark Confidant, Liliana, 3 lands to help cast them all.
And based on what I've seen before from Keating's play, I would expect him to put this Chalice on 0 next turn, unless Scherer dumps out a bunch of 0s onto the table. I think he really values mana efficiency in this matchup, and with good stuff to do with Thalia and Liliana, I think he might set this to 0 next turn and just try to curve out the following turns.
And if that's the case, and given that we've seen Keating do that a couple of times, for Scherer, I think you got to play at least the Lotus Petal that you have in your hand and any Lion's Eye Diamonds that you do find. There's Scalding Tarn.
I guess Scherer has a hedge here. He doesn't necessarily have to play it because in the event that Keating does set a chalice on 0, he can simply brainstorm and send it away.
Sure.
But I guess Scherer just desires to have the mana no matter what, and is going to put it on the battlefield.
There's one swept teeth. There's chalice for 0. And now we go back to Caleb. Caleb going to sacrifice the Scalding Tarn. We'll see what land he wants to search up. Again, we've seen him search for basics. And given that you know that Keating has a Wasteland in his hand, I think you're almost forced to search for a basic island there.
Got really hung up on Chalice for 1 in this kind of matchup, and it makes sense. A lot of 1-mana cards in the Storm deck, and a lot of them are pretty critical. I think I underestimated how good Chalice on 0 would be. Just mucks up Infernal Tutor pretty badly.
And we think so much when players are going off of that nauseam how they just need to find Lotus Petal or Lion's Eye Diamond. A lot of the time, that's kind of the narrative around it, and ad nauseam that's resolving. And this shuts that out. 2 cards going to go back for Scherer. He'll untap and take a draw step here. Does have Polluted Delta to shuffle away. That can also find a basic swamp. That'll allow him to cast a little bit of discard.
And the good news here for Caleb is he can take Thalia out of the hand, and then Keating's next turn, based on the information Caleb had last turn, it's got nothing going on. And can you win on turn 3 through Chalice for 0? Very reasonably.
There's Probe. See what the new card is, if there is a new one that's worth noting. Just another Grove of the Burn Willows. That was the draw. Dark Confidant, Thalia, Liliana, 2 Groves, and a Wasteland. Scherer will draw. Polluted Delta. Here comes Therapy. I gotta imagine Thalia's gotta go.
Yep.
There it is. And pass the turn back. Big draw step here for Tom.
I mean, if the play is Dark Confidant, you can't feel too comfortable if you're Keating. But any of the hate bears this turn is very good.
There's Wasteland. Thoughtseize. Oh, Brainstorm will let you hide.
And I like playing Thoughtseize this turn over the copy of Dark Confidant he could have played.
As do I. Caleb already casting a Brainstorm 2 in the game. No guarantee that he has a second one. Get a good look at what he's trying to work towards.
He's got a bunch of Rituals and a Pass in Flames, but I don't know if the hand actually goes anywhere.
Looks like he's going to hide Past in Flames. Show off the grip. Ponder, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Scalding Tarn.
Can't deny mana. Realistically, I think you got to go after Ponder here.
Might try to take this Cabal Ritual.
Yeah, that's the... I mean, Dark Ritual is just worse than Cabal Ritual at this point, so... Dark Ritual is definitely off the table. But I just don't know if you can appreciably affect the amount of mana that Caleb has.
Yeah. Tough choice here for Keating. But he's going to take the Cabal Ritual. Says you can ponder all you'd like. Doesn't bother me much. Back over to Scherer. His draw step will be Past in Flames.
And that's the one he hid.
Mm-hmm. And now he'll ponder. He knows the top card, which I believe is Polluted Delta, if memory serves. And now, he gets to look at two new ones. An Infernal Tutor and Cabal Ritual. If I'm Caleb, I like both of those, I think.
Yep. And if he's willing to keep Past in Flames in this spot, I would imagine he's on the hunt for mana. And Infernal Tutor is a great pairing as well.
Yep. Now for Caleb, you got to keep in mind that Liliana could be coming right now. Given the lands that we saw earlier in Tom's hand, no guarantee.
Yep.
Because there are two Grow the Burn Willows in hand, but if he is able to draw a black source, and all of a sudden Liliana's coming, he's going to start coming for the hand a little bit here, and he is working on pretty low resources, but it might just be going right now. And he might feel like this is enough to get it done.
Well, he's working with pretty much complete information, and that's often the case when you're going off via Past in Flames. You have full information what your graveyard looks like, obviously, so if he's making his move here, he feels like he's got it.
Storm count 3 up to 6. Crack this. Play this. Spell count 4.
And this way he gets to pick up.
Infernal, yep. So now he's going to cast some rituals.
Yep.
There's Cabal. Another Cabal.
And this is just, we're done here.
We're in easy mode now. Dark Ritual, that's spell 8. Infernal Tutor is going to be spell number 9. Tendrils is going to be spell number 10, and that's going to do it. Caleb Scherer is going to win game number 2 here against Tom Keating. Storm punishing Abzan going to game 3. However, for Caleb, it gets tough now because he's on the draw against this deck. And being on the draw means he could face down against turn 1 Chalice for 1, turn 1 Thalia, turn 1 Aethersworn Canist, a lot of tough stuff.
Yes.
It gets hard. And this doesn't even work into the equation. Leyline, and we just saw Caleb win with Past in Flames. So, you know, it's kind of a fingers crossed approach, honestly, now.
The bad news for Caleb is a lot of excellent cards are in the sideboard, and we've talked about them at length. The good news for Caleb is when he gets to his own turn, what he sees is what he gets. There's no instants that are going to complicate matters at all. So all he has to do on his own turn is focus on whether or not he's got the tools to go off. He does not have to worry about any sort of instant speed disruption, doesn't worry about counter spells, any of that. So at least when he gets to his own turn, he can just do the math and see if he's got it or not.
Well, that last game, he did. Got the job done, able to tie it up. So 1 game for it all. The winner, $5,000, 25 Open Series points, and an invite to our Season 4 Invitational in Las Vegas, just 2 weeks away.
And Caleb has also locked up 2 buys.
Fine.
I would assume. Been 17th in perpetuity.
Been stuck there for what feels like forever, right?
Yeah.
He's been trying to break through that for some time now. So this is a big finish for him. And we'll watch game 3 in just a second as these players finish up shuffling. But for one last time, it's that Black Friday sale with StarCityGames.com. We got huge savings, 4 days only. Not even 4 days left. You got till tomorrow, 11:59 a.m. to check out some really cool stuff on the website.
A lot of good deals, especially on sealed product, boxes of Battle for Zendikar, a couple other items as well. Plus a lot of really good deals on graded cards, a lot of alpha, beta, unlimited power, dual lands, and other ancillary stuff. Again, the sale ends 11:59 a.m. Eastern Time Monday. So if you want to check out these deals, head over to StarCityGames.com today.
1 game for it all. Tom Keating, Caleb Scherer, punishing Abzan, coming out of nowhere here this weekend, putting up a big result. For Storm, one of our heavy played decks. Miracle's most played deck by a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
But Storm, pretty popular, along with a couple other decks here this weekend.
I can't remember the last time we had a single deck that was 20% of day 2 of a Legacy. I mean, we've had tournaments where if you add up all the Delver decks, you know, it's a third of the field. That's not uncommon, but for one deck to be 20% in Legacy, it's just, that's a lot.
That's something, right?
And Keating there immediately kept his hand.
Well, I feel horrible. I would just assume that I'm dead.
Here comes a sea of lock pieces and 2/2s.
Yeah.
It's quite the performance. Like I said, I spoke to Keating after the Swiss rounds were over and we were doing all the setup for the top 8. And just so you know, he's like, I felt like I got lucky. I hope I didn't play that bad on camera. You know, we've heard that sort of line before from people, but it looks like he's very close to just winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I did not expect him to get by Chris Anderson. I really didn't. These matchups here against Storm, I feel like he's pretty prepared for, but against Chris, you know, his sideboard doesn't even really line up very well.
Yeah, just got an explosive draw with Knight while Chris didn't have any mana acceleration, no push to his draw.
Yeah.
And mulligans here in this matchup. I mean, take anything away from Ross's match here, to even be competitive in the post-board games, you needed every piece of the puzzle. I mean,
yeah.
You needed every single card. Because he has to find so many cards to fight through the lock pieces, and that just means there's only so much in the way of critical mass to assemble the Storm.
Chalice of the Void. Yeah.
I believe...
I think it might be all ones.
There's an Infernal Tutor, so you can use that to go get another one casting cost card. He's got an Island too, so that doesn't help towards casting Abrupt Decay. Now we have a clock.
Double the clock.
Triple.
Yeah. Dark Confidant is here. Infernal Tutor the draw. Pass the turn back. Time to take a look. Caracas. Here come the beatdowns. Scherer down to 17. Another Mox Diamond. Discard Caracas. And now Liliana.
Sort of a non-bow because Caleb's hand is nothing but dead cards. So, still worth doing.
Yeah. Brainstorm. No. Absolutely not.
I like the effort. I mean, there's no way Caleb can win this game by just playing it straight.
Yeah. Gataxian Probe. No. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, he gets his graveyard a little bit bigger for Cabal rituals.
Yep.
So, like, well, that's not great to see. Another Chalice over there.
I mean, Chalice for 1 plus Chalice for 2 at this point. It's got to be.
Lock him up. Thoughts he's going to get discarded. Here come the beatdowns. I assume there's another land over there. He's going to Chalice for 0.
Okay.
What's the draw for Caleb? This actually could get bad for Tom. Leyline of the Void takes 4. Like, there's a path for Caleb. It's not easy, but there's a path, because Tom just discarded the Leyline. He's going to attack for 3. Caleb discarded Dark Ritual. What do we have now? Greens.
This is.
Yeah, that's Keating, and that's going to do it. Tom Keating going to win this match here over Caleb Scherer. 2-1. Punishing Abzan wins the tournament, and his friends are stoked. Big smile on his face as Tom Keating is your champion here in New Jersey.